So David Fizdale is the new head coach of the New York Knicks. And I have to say, I approve of this move, as of right now. We've seen head coaches that seemed like good hires in the past not be good hires. I remember Frank Vogel being the one that I remember the most with the Magic, where he wanted to play Aaron Gordon at small forward, and he still thinks Biyombo can give him actual minutes, whatever. But given what Fizdale did in his one season with the Grizzlies, in terms of updating their style to fit into the modern-day NBA, I think Fizdale has some good things going for him. And he also seems like a head coach who can connect with his players, which I think matters when you have a younger team like this, between Mudiay, Ntilikina, Porzingis, of course. And I just got a good gut feeling about this move. Now, if we dive into... Actually, I want to start with the culture stuff. Usually I go to the X's and O's first, but I want to go to this. Given what the Knicks have gone through for the past couple seasons with the Carmelo Anthony drama, the Phil Jackson drama, the fact that Porzingis didn't go to an exit meeting, and there was the controversy between him and Phil Jackson about if Jackson would be willing to trade him and all that. It's good to have a guy who I think can turn over a new leaf with this team, and I think now we are officially entering the Porzingis era, I guess. I mean, this previous season, like, Hornacek was there, but he was already kind of lingering from the Phil Jackson era, and while I don't think Hornacek's a bad coach, I do think... I don't know. I mean, there is sometimes a sense of starting over, getting that guy who can connect with your star player from day one, and he doesn't have to balance between Porzingis, Melo, and Phil Jackson. You know, it's Porzingis and this team and Ntilikina and all that stuff, and that's good. And I think Fizdale, given that he just seems like a cool guy, you know, who can connect with players. Now, of course, there was the Marc Gasol thing, so maybe I'm wrong on that one. Maybe it was just a sense of two hard-headed guys, but I don't really know. But I got a good feeling about it in that sense. Players seem to like the guy. Then, if we can get to, I guess the second most important player on this team, and Frank Ntilikina, and I guess this is where we start getting into the X's and O's. I think this does help out Frank, because Fizdale seems to be a guy who is about point guards. Mike Conley's usage rate improved under Fizdale. His everything improved under Fizdale, really. His shot attempts and just his overall responsibility on the team. So he definitely believes in point guards. Now, Ntilikina's usage rate should not improve that much. I mean, a little bit, sure, but it's definitely going to be a process with Frank in terms of his offensive game. His defense is legit. I mean, he could become like one of the best perimeter defenders in the league if he's not that already. His defense, I think we all started to notice it towards like the second half of the season, me included, but he was really damn good as a perimeter defender this year. So he's got that going for him, and I actually think Frank, he could end up being a better shooting guard than point guard, because, I mean, he's like, 6'5", he's a good defender, and based on what people tell me, scouts and all that I find on Google, I shouldn't say they tell me, but you know what I mean. It seems like his handle and his just overall creating ability is going to take a minute, so maybe the two-guard spot would just make more sense for him, especially if he can get the three-pointer down, combo guard type of thing, I don't know, but I think Fizdale is going to do the right thing with Ntilikina, which is let him play defense and just get him going slowly on offense. And I think we saw the early signs of him believing in points through the Mike Conley stuff. And since we're talking about point guards, you probably mentioned Trey Burke, who, I mean, we'll have to see if this is legit. The Knicks have him under contract at least for this upcoming year. And their best option is probably Burke starting at point guard and then Ntilikina starting next to him. Whether that makes him technically the two guard or not, I don't know. But, of course, Courtney Lee is still there, and he's probably a better win right now option at the two than Frank is, so that's a balancing act. I would say Burke is closer to Conley offensively than Ntilikina is, So we could see the Mike Conley treatment for Trey Burke. And I mean, look, if Trey Burke is really this new player, and we'll have to see if he is with defenses adjusting to him to open up the new season, then that's a source of offense for the Knicks. It's a pick and roll option with Porzingis, and that could be a real thing for them. Now, the idea of Trey Burke next to, let's say, Tim Hardaway Jr. long term might not be the best because those two might be a little redundant. You might want a guy more dedicated to like defense and not needing the ball in his hands as much with Hardaway, especially if Ntilikina is going to be like your third ball handler, I guess. That could be a thing, but you know, I don't think we should dive too much into that right now. I think we have to find out if Burke is legit. I think Fizdale can get that out of him, and he and Frank could be a pretty damn good backcourt. As far as Moutier is concerned, I mean, I like Ntilikina more than him, but I'm sure Fizdale can figure some things out with that. Now if we get to Porzingis, and this is stuff that I have said before, but I think it's still a pretty big deal, is just Porzingis ran too many mid-range ISOs this year where there wouldn't be a whole lot of creativity in the plays for him, I should say, where he'd get it on the left or right block, stand there for about 3 seconds, and then shoot the ball over the dude in front of him. I mean, you're just leaving points on the board. Like, get Porzingis moving off ball, get him going to the three-point line. I don't know of a big man who's going to be fast enough as well as tall enough to deal with Porzingis, like, moving off the ball. I mean, we see it with Karl Anthony Towns. He'll have one play where he'll get a screen, and then, like, he'll go to the corner for a corner three. There's not a center in the NBA who can defend that play, you know? So I think you can find a similar thing with Porzingis, and you can relax on those really weird ISO / post-ups that he does for like 7 or 8 possessions a game. It'll probably be better for him in terms of a physical standpoint as well. And I think Fizdale can do this because his 3-point stuff was good for the Grizzlies. They shot more threes under him. Part of this is because Marc Gasol just learned to shoot threes, but I'm sure Fizdale also told Gasol to shoot from outside more. He went from like 0 attempts a game to like 4 or something like that. Also, if I'm not mistaken, I remember early on, right when Fizdale was hired, I believe he wanted to run more with the Grizzlies, and he just didn't really have the roster for it. But I think this Knicks team could definitely run. You got a lot of young dudes here. Porzingis could be a terror in the open floor. He kind of already is. I mean, we see his some of his alley-oops. Even if he's not like a super athlete, he's just so damn tall that it works out for you. And also, because this is the other thing that I always mention with Fizdale, is he moved JaMychal Green to the starting power forward spot over Zach Randolph, which is huge because you got that more athletic 4 who can do stuff on the perimeter, defend on the perimeter. I think this also led to the Grizzlies allowing less 3-point attempts under Fizdale as well, so he just seems to be all about the modern day game, man. 3-pointers, more responsibility to point guards, small ball 4s. I mean, they're not really small ball 4s anymore. Now they're just regular 4s. If anything, we should now coin it to be big ball 4s, which is a weird term, but whatever. Yeah, I like the move. I think it's a pretty good signing for the Knicks. And we're already seeing some good signs from the Fizz as he is flying out to Latvia to speak with the Zinger. So that's cool. I'm trying to think of what could be potentially a negative here. I guess there's the possibility that Fizdale maybe is a little overrated because it was only one season, and then we saw like 15 games into the new year, they were 7-12, which obviously isn't good, but I don't think it's enough to freak out too much. I mean, Jason Kidd managed one good season with the Bucks because the NBA wasn't ready for his defense, and then everybody was ready for his defense, and then he didn't make any adjustments. So there's a chance that Fizdale just isn't that good, I would think, based on what we've seen so far, he's been pretty okay. And, I mean, his Grizzlies won 43 games. They pushed the Spurs to a Game 6 in Round 1. So, I think he's been good enough. I think I've said about all I need to say. Solid signing for the Knicks.